Yo, on the Raider Nation, we're back. Chris, myself, back here with you with the Raider Nation's Weekly Wire. Chris, thanks for being here again after a month's hiatus?
Feels like it, man. It's been a little minute, man. Been a little minute.
Hey, but just like everybody, we have our day jobs, we have our lives outside of content creating, so we needed a break. Chris, you went on a cruise, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Did, man. I did.
How was that, my brother?
I was good, man. I, was able to get some sun, man. Had my belly out, on the beach. Got some sun, because in Ohio we don't get that, man. So it was good to get to the Bahamas, and
nice.
Yeah. So it was a fun time. It's so fun that I'm actually getting ready to go on another one here soon in a couple months. So yeah, man, I'm all for it. I had a blast, man. I had a blast.
Are you doing the Bahamas again?
No, so I'm gonna do Aruba.
Okay.
Yeah, so and that's actually going out of Puerto Rico. So I'm flying to Puerto Rico and then, cruising from there. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Man, that sounds great, man. You enjoy yourself because you definitely deserve it, man.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
Because I know you put work at work.
Yeah.
You put work at home, and you put work with the Raider Nation. That's
for sure, man. For sure.
Yeah, man. So for me, I went to Pismo Beach. It was my best friend's birthday, so we went to go camp out over there. And of course, being there, I went to a cigar lounge and got some content. So that's coming out pretty soon for the Stogie Nation. That
was a fire show too, man. That was a nice looking spot too that you went.
That one's actually here in Torrance, over by
okay.
Here. That the one from Pismo hasn't come out yet. I'm probably gonna drop it.
Okay. I'm about to say that last one. I like that. That was a nice little spot.
Yeah. He's the owner. He's a real cool dude.
Yeah.
Definitely. I frequent that cigar lounge very often. But yeah, I got that Pismo Beach one coming out, and then we're going to talk about it later about Max Crosby's youth football camp. I dropped an episode of Friday on that.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. My kid had a blast.
But good.
Anyway, let's get back to the Weekly Wire. We got Raider news. Some good, some bad. And of course, let's rip off the Band-Aid. Let's go right into it. Christian Wilkins got the boot. I personally, I wasn't happy with it, but I was like, you know what? It is what it is. He wasn't producing for us, 5 games last season? And we were just giving him his, 50 million, 55 million?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, the way I saw it, coach just said, you know what? You don't want to do what needs to be done? We need to move forward. We didn't bring you in. We don't really care about you. But what have you heard, Chris, or what do you know? Let the nation know.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we don't have all the details. From what I've kind of gathered was, there's been, a divide as far as, how his rehab should be pursued and like how that they should go about with it. The team, wanted him to get surgery. Him and his representation did not, want to do the surgery. So it feels like the team feels like that, Wilkins, doesn't have like a clear path or plan to get back to playing. So, which I think is kind of interesting, but, again, there may be some things behind the scenes that we don't know. So yeah, it's just, more than anything, it's just frustrating as a fan. I think Charles Woodson probably said it best when, I don't know if it was after the Josh Jacobs thing or I think Jacobs, but Raider fans, we could just never have nothing nice, man. We could just never have nothing nice. And it's to the point where you can understand why we're the laughing stock in the NFL. We're always, regardless of how you feel about Wilkins and kind of what happened, we're always whiffing on free agents. I mean, it's just, this situation is such a Raider thing, man. Like, you just don't hear stuff like that from other solid organizations that are ran well,
But let me ask you this, because obviously our current coaching staff had nothing to do with his acquisition to the Raiders. So they have no skin in the game with him. They just know that they have to pay this dude an absorbent amount of money, because obviously in Miami, he played extremely well.
Right.
But I don't remember him coming into the organization, he was completely healthy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
so it was just an unfortunate incident that happened while playing with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, now you having that background in actually playing the game at a collegiate level, and obviously being a fan of football and just, knowing the X's and O's of football, I would like you to explain it to me to kind of like in layman's terms on how the whole money aspect works. Because obviously, if like me as a business owner, if I pay somebody to do a service, and they don't do it, then you know what? I ain't gonna pay you. But obviously I know that there's contracts and, there's people signing on the dotted line or whatever. How does that work? Help me understand why we shouldn't have gotten rid of him, and we should have maybe, instead of letting him go, maybe put him on the IR, and just let him do whatever he needed to do, and then if he did get put away for the season, will we still have to pay him?
Yeah, so I love how you think, just as a business owner, so if you have a business and someone doesn't do what you want them to do, then you can get rid of them. But the part that you got to factor in here is you can't necessarily do that if it's a workers' comp situation. So it bring, there's all kinds of laws and legal things that come across that. He got injured at work.
Doing work right.
You know what I'm saying? So therefore, there's certain things that are guaranteed, when you get injured at work. So, but what happened was, he did get injured and the team wanted him to, from what I'm hearing, again, I'm hearing different things. So until more information comes out, I can only go by, what I heard. But until... or basically, the team wanted him to get another surgery, and he basically refused to get that surgery. And I guess this has been going on a while now. We're just kind of hearing about it now, but right. I guess the team has kind of been going, back and forth with him, and about all that like a while. So this isn't something that's new.
And can they demand that of him, even though because he's contracted, he signed the contract. He is a player of the organization. Do they have the right to ask for him to, basically, in a certain extent, harm his body because they're going to be cutting into him? Do they have that right as an organization?
And that's the part that I'm unclear about, because from my understanding, they can't make you, get a surgery. And I know other players have had similar issues where they've kind of pushed for a surgery. And even like the Derek Carr thing, I think Derek Carr was supposed to get a surgery, and even though he retired, but it was like, you can't necessarily make a player, get that. And again, if I don't know if he got second opinions, and maybe he had, or maybe there was a neutral doctor that stated, the surgery isn't absolutely necessary. So again, those are the parts that I don't know. But from my understanding of it, you can't just make a player get the surgery. So, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But, from my understanding though, the team, the way that they're trying to kind of target this is they're basically saying it was a breach of contract on him, because I guess there's a section in the CBA that it actually says, let's see, it was a subsection. It's Article 30, subsection 3A. And just letting you know kind of what it says. It says a player is not eligible for termination pay if the club proves via written warning that a player failed to exhibit a level of good faith effort reasonably expected of NFL players on that team.
So it's the Raider organization. They have to show proof.
That's what I'm saying. And that's kind of what I was getting to, on the live the other day. It's like the burden of proof is on the Raiders right now. And again, I don't know what they have. People are bringing up a video and all this other stuff.
Okay, dancing in the locker room.
Yeah. So and again, I don't know if that's enough, but for me, I think it's going to be tough unless the Raiders really got something concrete to say that he's, he failed to do any of that stuff. So, again, not wanting to do a surgery, but he's still at the facility. It seems like he still was rehabbing. He's still, he's not holding out or anything like that. So right. I don't know.
Yeah, because in order for I feel, in order for them to take an action this drastic, you better have some serious backup. You better have some serious proof.
That's what I'm saying.
That this dude, you've actually tried to work with them, and he's not having it. So hey, man, you got to go. Because it is a lot of money tied up on one individual that this team definitely needs to move forward. So yeah. I don't know, man. I'm just I feel Al Davis, like the later years, Al Davis just decided to come and haunt us for a little bit and show us what he used to do. Remember when right before he passed, he used to just cut people because he felt like it. I got that feeling when I heard. I'm like, oh, yeah, here we go again. But it is what it is. It's out of our control. The best we can do is just notify, let the Raider Nation know of what's going on, and just kind of move forward, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it's going to be an interesting fight for the money. I mean, because again, they cut him. It is what it is. I have no issue with it. But I'm just curious on how if we're going to get the money back. But again, if we lose this, one thing that I kind of talked about is the optics. The optics does not look good. We already have issues getting high quality free agents anyway. You don't want to be the organization that is known to, if something doesn't go exactly as planned, hey, the Raiders going to try to take this and take that. Again, people think I'm crazy because, I get upset about how we treat some of our stars and things like that, whether it's Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, now Wilkins. It's like, if I am a top guy in free agency or if I'm a top player, why would I want to go to the Raiders? Like if I'm representing somebody, as an agent, hey, if the Raiders want you, you better overcharge them like crazy because that is not the type of organization. For one, they're not going to play, no relevant games in January and that because the Raiders are not a playoff team. They're a very poorly ran organization. Two, there's no loyalty. If something happens, they're going to try to get the money or whatever. You're going to be in a fight for it. So I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. Salute to Wilkins. Salute to my beloved Raiders. I hope everything works out for both parties.
Well, let me ask you this hypothetical scenario. If you were in charge of the Raiders and you had this in front of you, this situation in front of you, how would you just address the situation?
Yeah, so without knowing everything that happened, it's tough. That's a tough question because if it was a situation where, I felt that, for the best interest of the team, we needed to get this surgery. If he did not do it, I would have to understand the why. I mean, because that's a part that we don't know as fans. All we know is he refused the surgery. We don't know the why behind it. Huh?
He had one before?
Yeah, so he had the first surgery, and then they were saying that he's going to need a second surgery.
Oh, okay.
So and that's where things got a little muddy right there. Again, if I'm the owner, if I had all the details, it'd be an easier question because things are going to come out. But if it's just from what I just know, surface level, hey, I want you to get this surgery. No, I don't want to get this because the thing is, at least the way I see it. If he's refusing to get the surgery, his plans is he want to try to get back on that field this year. So he wants to play football. Like people are acting like he doesn't want to play football. Like he's there. He's still going through his rehab. He just doesn't want to get the surgery. Whereas if he gets his surgery, he's for sure not going to play this year.
No, of course not.
You know what I'm saying? So,
of course.
Again, if he feels that like, hey, I can get close to playing this year and I want to do it without the surgery. Hey, let me bet on myself and try to make this happen. But again, without me knowing the information, I don't know.
But with our luck, if that would have happened, he would have came in one game, gotten hurt, and still be out for the season.
No, for sure. Yeah, exactly. No, and I get it. But what's, there's going to be certain things in the upcoming, month or whatever that's going to tell a lot. Because more than likely, somebody's going to pick him up. Now that he's released, somebody's going to pick him up. I've already heard, some teams that's interested. I know the Patriots.
He's going to ball.
No, that's what I'm saying. Seriously, if he gets signed for another team and he gets medically cleared at some point this season, that's going to tell me all I need to know. If he steps on the field for a team this year after getting medically cleared, that's going to tell me all I need to know, man. So we'll see. Well,
I guess it's wait and see again. And I guess
welcome to the Raider Nation, baby.
We're back on track. Everything was going too good to be true. I was like, oh, wait a minute.
But you know what? Me and you, we kept saying we're not drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, we're not.
We're not. Nope. We almost did. Yeah, we almost did.
No, that's not happening anymore, man.
No, it's over. It's over. Yeah, that Kool-Aid stage is over.
I'm too old for that shit.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay, so being that Wilkins is out, I know we picked up a couple of defensive tackles, free agency and in the draft. The next question is, what's in store for our defensive tackles? Are we going to go, do you think we're going to go with just what we acquired? Are we going to go get a free agent? If there's any good free agents out there, or what are your thoughts?
I mean, to be honest, we addressed, we got some young guys in the draft. We brought in some guys in free agency. I think at the end of the day, the guys that's on the team is going to step up. We got we did sign Adam Butler. We got some other guys. People were saying that Quentin Jefferson may be a guy that comes back. He's a guy that played pretty well under Pete Carroll and for the Seahawks. So he's somebody that kind of understands what Pete likes to do on defense.
He's the latest acquisition, right? He's the latest acquisition, the guy we just picked up last week?
Who, Quentin Jefferson?
Yeah.
No, he's a guy. I think he came in for he came in for a visit. I think the guy that you're talking about is Jamal Adams, maybe.
There you go. Yeah,
Jamal Adams. So he's always been a safety, but he's actually changing his position to linebacker with us. So that's going to be interesting to see how that works out. So, but yeah, as far as DT goes, I just think one of the young guys are going to have to step up. Everyone says next man up, so we're going to have to prove it. But going out and signing like a big name, it's really tough to do it at this point. Maybe there's some teams that end up cutting some people, just cap casualties. We might be able to find someone, but I think more than likely, we're going to try to roll with what we got. Again, maybe pick up a Quentin Jefferson because he came in the other day for a visit, and we'll see.
Right. Oh, okay. All right. Well, now let's go get away from this negativity, this bad news, and let's bring up some good news.
Yeah.
Finally, after so much time of just having us wonder if this was going to happen, Jack Besh signed. I think it was a day before the rookies showed up for training camp. Yeah. So why did it take so long, Chris, for him to sign?
I think for him it wasn't nothing that it wasn't for him. I think he wanted to be there. I mean, he actually was there kind of working out with the team and attending everything just on good faith.
Right.
Without being signed. But it really kind of stems back from, there's a couple teams that kind of messed it up for others. I know the Cleveland Browns, they signed their second round guy and gave him fully guaranteed money. And I believe there was another team that signed their second round guy for guaranteed money. So therefore, it was like the rest of the second round guys, they stood together. They stood together and pretty much was saying, hey, we want fully guaranteed contracts.
It was all contractual. It was about
yeah, so it was a contractual thing, and I think it was just one of those things where, you know, everyone was kind of sticking together on what they were wanting, kind of trying to use that leverage. Because as far as like the amount that they make, you know, those numbers are pretty much set for the most part for the early round guys. But Jack wanted to be there, and I mean, it definitely took a long time to get it going, but you know, he definitely got his 4-year deal. You know, got it. You know, stuff guaranteed, so he's good to go.
Oh, that's good. So he's good, paid. I know he showed up for the first day of training camp, and I know he had been there all along because I saw him at that softball game they had against the Golden Knights. He played. You know, he was in the community doing his thing.
He's been all in. Like, he's a guy that you could tell. You know, he wasn't like holding out just to hold out. You know, he was holding out just, you know, the agent and. You know, just all the second round players, you know, they were just trying to take a stand. So
gotcha. Okay, well, Besh, welcome officially to the Raider Nation. Now that you got paid, you know, let's get out there, let's do it, because we're definitely gonna need you this season.
Yeah, you know, we definitely will.
All right, our next topic: other notable signings. You had just mentioned the safety that we picked up, but what was his name again?
Jamal Adams.
Jamal Adams. He played with Pete Carroll at Seattle, right? A few years back.
So he originally got drafted by the Jets. You know, I want to say he was probably like a top 5 pick or something like that. He was a beast out of LSU. Yeah, he was just a monster. Had some issues in the Jets, just with the coach and some other things. So the Jets ended up trading him away to the Seahawks for 2 first-round picks. So
okay.
And he went to the Seahawks. He still had, I think he still had an all-pro season at the Seahawks, but he's known for being, you know, just a tone setter, you know, a hitter, you know, an enforcer, short tackler, you know, make big plays, things like that. I've always liked him as a safety. His biggest thing was just injuries. You know, he had a couple bad injuries, man. And you know, that's
what I was going to ask. That's what I was going to ask. How's his health?
You know, we're never going to get no one like, you know what the Raiders do. We always get guys that were good back in the day, but then been injured. So that's more of what this is. You know, he's a guy that was a stud back in the day.
But do you feel that he'll be able to put forth something positive to the organization?
It's hard to say, man. Because again, I'm a big fan of him, and with them moving him from safety to linebacker, it's going to be interesting because he was never really known to be like a real coverage guy. He was always a, you know, in the box type safety, you know, play close to the line, enforcer, things like that. But asking him to be a linebacker, it's kind of tough because it's a completely different position. You know, now, you know, you're dealing with, I mean, again, he played close in the box anyway, but just a full-time linebacker is just kind of different. But I know Patrick Graham probably has some, you know, creative ways to use him. So I'm sure he's not just going to be like a true linebacker. I'm sure it's going to be kind of a hybrid where he's doing different things and blitzing and getting after the quarterback. That's what he's good at.
Well, let's hope so. And let's hope he can stay healthy because we don't want to go through this again.
Right.
Because we've seen it time and time again, you know, but I also noticed that we had we signed a couple of players. Was it offensive lineman Antonio Mafi, Philip Dorsett, Seth Williams, Jamal Adams, and JT Woods, and cut Keyshawn Smith, Zachariah Franklin, Jalen Walker, and Mello Dotson. These names don't sound familiar to me. Were these just depth pieces, or what's the deal with these guys? Yeah,
so a couple of guys that we lost was like undrafted free agents. You know, like Walker and Mello Dotson. He was somebody that kind of surprised me because he was a guy that I originally thought was going to get drafted, and when we got him as a undrafted free agent, you know, I was like, okay, he's one of the better undrafted free agents we got who may have a possibility of making the team.
Oh, okay.
So seeing that, you know, he got cut, you know, there was something in, you know, some of those early practices that they didn't necessarily like, or maybe it was a mentality thing, or maybe they came in out of shape or whatever. So, you know, it could be a lot of different things. So, but as far as the guys that we added, of course, we talked about Jamal Adams. I think the other guys are just gonna, you know, they're kind of journeymen, kind of bounce around. I know that JT Woods, I believe he had some time with, I think he had some time with with Pete. I think he may have been on Seattle's practice squad at one point. So, there's some familiarity there. That offensive lineman, the first guy you mentioned, I believe he went to UCLA. So I think he actually played with Chip Kelly in college. So yeah, so a guy that has some experience there. He's a guard, so they're just bringing some. I mean, these are depth pieces, guys that's going to just compete in practice. Philip Dorsett, he's a speedster. He's been with us before, didn't make the team, but he has a great speed. But maybe someone like Chip Kelly can find a way to use someone like him. He may not make the team. Who knows? Okay.
Well, so then there's other than Jamal Adams.
Yeah. It's none of them are like notable names or anything. Like, to be honest, none of them will probably make the team, honestly.
Gotcha. Yeah, no wonder I didn't really hear much about this.
Yeah.
I just got like a little Instagram post. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, let's check it out.
Yeah.
All right. Our next topic, of course, as we know, this week we started training camp with the big boys, not just the rookies. It started on the 22nd, and they've been allowing a lot of fans to show up. And I haven't really been paying too much attention to training camp because I've been really busy, just kept coming back off of vacation. So I'm trying to catch up with work, with family and everything. So what can you tell us so far with what's been going on in training camp? Have you heard any positives, any negatives, any news?
Yeah. One thing that I've noticed and what I've been hearing is, Pete Carroll is a guy that likes that fan interaction. From what I'm hearing, he's opening up additional, public, practices and stuff like that, which I love, but 805 actually went to the practice yesterday or the day before. He
went twice, actually.
Yeah, he may have. Yeah.
Because he had some tickets already, and then I had tickets for the first open training camp, but I wasn't gonna be able to go, so I gave them to him, and he's like, "Cool, I'll go to 2."
Oh, sweet. Okay, sweet. Yeah. So, so he was there, and one thing he said, high energy. It was a high energy practice. Guys, getting, running around, pretty energetic for the most part. There was a couple players that, there weren't, but for the most part,
right.
Guys were running around. It was high energy. So it's just kind of, Pete running the show like he wants to run the show. Guys competing, guys getting after it, guys, just having that competitive nature in no matter what they're doing. That's kind of stuff I'm hearing. Again, guys don't have on pads yet, so you're only gonna get so much. Right now, 7-on-7s, 11-on-11, stuff like that. But you can't really tackle or nothing like that. We'll see what really happens next week once some pads get on.
So let me ask you: you had played the game before.
Mm-hmm.
How would you feel coming into training camp and having this energy? Is this a motivating factor? Is this kind of like, oh man, do we have to dance for our money here and show, be an entertainer, to the crowds? Is it a positive thing?
Yeah, so I would say when I first went to college, so it's a lot different, going from high school to college, regardless of the division you're in. I remember, like my first practice and just getting out there, and it was really that energy you build off of that. It's contagious. It's contagious. And seeing a coach, that fired up and stuff like that, it does get you going. Now, again, I was a freshman coming in, and it was like, it was like a new change of pace for me, for the most part. But then, when you think about some of the older guys, older vets who's been there for a while, maybe they're not as, because they've seen so many training camps, so it may not affect them the same way. But I think when you got guys like Max Crosby, who's just a natural, all of energy, and you got other guys just running around. I know Landon Roberts and Jeremy Chin. I mean, these guys are just balls of energy that are excited to be out there. Like, that stuff's contagious. So I think, and then plus you see your coach that's 70 whatever years old running around, getting guys fired. Like, that's something, like, that's how you build that camaraderie and kind of get that motivation going.
Okay. And we definitely need it. You know,
My God, we do.
In the organization, in the buildings, with the players, with the coaching staff, we need that energy. So they're having open training camps at the what's that facility called? Their training facility.
What in Henderson?
Yeah.
It's called the Inner something?
Inner Mountain Health or something like that facility.
Yeah,
well, whatever that building
Health or I forgot what it was.
Yeah, that building that they've been having a lot of open practices, and now, like you mentioned, they just added more.
Yeah,
you know, so that's great. The only thing that I heard that sucks is that you're outside in the heat.
Yeah,
and you know, Vegas summers aren't nice. Even though, but when I was there last week, it wasn't that bad. But it was, you know, for SoCal, it was hot as hell.
Yeah,
you know, so but. You know, for the Raider Nation that made the trek, that went out there, you know what? I hope you all had fun. On August 2nd, which is next Saturday, they're having the open practice at Allegiant Stadium.
Yeah, and that's going to be fire. That's going to be fire.
Yeah, myself, my wife, and my son are definitely going to go. We're going to do a turnaround.
Nice.
And we're going to go catch it because I went last year with Cheeto Linus, and this year I definitely want it to be a family affair because it is a lot of fun. And then obviously it's inside Allegiant, so it's nicely air conditioning.
Exactly. Exactly.
Get everywhere. Hopefully we get to hang out in the club seats again because Turf hooked it up last time.
Yeah.
And he got us in those club seats and got us down in the little club area where they have the bomb food and the snacks. So Turf, salute to you, my friend. Thank you for that amazing experience, and hopefully we can do it again this year. But that's going to be August 2nd. So and then I believe afterwards we're going to meet up with 805.
Nice.
And we're going to have a little event. He's setting up something at a family friendly restaurant, and he's inviting a lot of the Raider Nation to come hang out and have some dinner after the training camp. So hopefully it turns out to be a fun day. I think being with the Raider Nation, it's going to be fun regardless.
Yeah.
Regardless. All right. What else we got? Oh, yeah. One more thing I wanted to ask you, because I had heard something about Pete Carroll had announced that he was going to have themed practices. Did you hear anything about that?
I don't think so. I mean, I would. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I had heard that.
I may not caught that.
Yeah, that there were going to be particular days when there was going to be a particular theme for the defense, for the offense. That way, kind of like to change it up. And he announced it to the news.
Yeah.
And one thing that I heard from other content creators is that that's something that you haven't seen and heard for a couple of regimes.
Yeah.
Where everything's been kind of tight-lipped, kept the media out. With Pete Carroll, he's like, yeah, man, we're gonna do all this. We're gonna have these events. We're inviting the fans. I think that's a positive forward progress with the organization, with the coaching staff, because it's showing that they want us to be part of the team. They want us to see their progress. They want us to be excited about the season. What are your thoughts on that type of action from Pete Carroll?
No, I love it. And again, like when you think of stuff like that, it's like, because when you hear themes, it's like, coaches do stuff like that where it's like a certain focus, on that practice. Like maybe it's, like this practice where we're focusing on turnovers or not having any turnover or whatever it is, or cutting down on penalties or whatever. There's certain things that you can just like hone in on and even make it like a competition or make it even like a team building or accountability or something like that for these particular practices. So, again, I didn't hear him say it, but I can only imagine, Pete's seen a lot of football. He's forgot more football than a lot of people know. So
most definitely.
Yeah, so and one thing about Pete, he knows how to motivate guys. He knows how to motivate men and lead men, and he understands everyone is not a cookie cutter approach. You gotta, motivate people differently. So, he looked at the team and seen how they are and figured, hey, we're gonna have different type of days, focus on different type of things. So, one thing about it, I'm a trust Pete. Again, he knows a lot of ball and as far as anything that is morale related and things like that, there's not a guy better.
Yeah, He definitely, I am actually happy now that we did get Pete Carroll, over anybody else, because of just like what you mentioned, he does bring a lot to the table. He does have a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, and that's definitely something that we need now.
For sure.
We need to have those leaders, that know how to motivate these men.
Right.
Because even though, they are high paid athletes, they're still young, and there's a particular way that you have to deal with these young men. There's a way you have to approach them, you have to talk to them, and it seems, based on what we see on the outside, that he's doing the right thing so far. So let's hope that these are good steps in the right direction, even though, of course, the Wilkins situation, but at least, there's other positive things happening within the Raider Nation, and hopefully it'll be displayed on the field when we go watch it.
Yeah, that's really all we can hope for. Again, Pete brings a lot of positivity to the team. Just his aura. He's seen a lot. And the thing is, I think the landscape of football is changing. You're dealing with guys, making a lot of money, like you said, young guys making a lot of money. But even on top of that, you're dealing with, a whole new type of athlete that's coming out of college that's already rich.
Yes. Right.
So being like that's going to be a whole nother scenario. You got to learn how to manage that and juggle that whole thing, and the guy, I know it's been a long time, but, Pete, is coaching in college, and
yes.
And honestly, we all know Pete was paying his players back in, SC and, all that stuff. But, so I think he knows how to deal with all that stuff. There's not going to be too many things that is going to be before Pete that he hasn't seen or experienced. So I'm totally trusting him. I'm not liking the whole Christian Wilkins thing, but again, I'm gonna trust him and see how it plays out.
Let's see what happens. All right, our last topic for today is Max Crosby's youth football camp experience. Happened this past Friday at some high school in Summerlin. It's like, it would be northwest Las Vegas. I had never gone to a football camp before. Obviously I didn't go for myself. I took my son, but I had never gone as a parent or as a kid. So I didn't know what to expect. When I get there is this long ass line. I'm talking about probably around the gymnasium and the main building of the school. They had over 400 kids in attendance. Plus, multiply 2 parents per kid average.
Yeah.
There was a buttload of people there, man. And I was, Jesus Christ. Did you ever attend any football camps when you were a kid, Chris?
Yeah. I went to camps, but really none ran by. None ran by players. But I went to basketball camps because I was really big into basketball when I was young. Yeah, none football really. That were like by big names like a Max Crosby or anything.
Right. And were like the camps that you went, what were the amount of kids that would show up?
I mean, it'd be a lot, but I mean, nothing crazy. But it would be like it would be like ex Ohio State Buckeye players or things like that. So it's nothing that was like too crazy, but and as a kid, you're used to those little crowds, and kids everywhere. So from my standpoint, it didn't seem like it was something that crazy, but I'm sure my parents were probably like, Jesus, all these kids running around.
Because that's how I was, man. I was just kind of like taken aback. I was like, holy crap, there's a lot of people here.
Yeah.
Because they were charging $200 and something per kid.
Yeah.
So they, and then it was a private company that organized it. That's what they do.
Yeah.
They organize these camps with various players from various teams all throughout the continental United States.
Okay.
So Max Crosby, I'm assuming, don't quote me on this, I'm assuming he was paid to go there, but still, he did a lot that day. They had because it was both indoors and outdoors. The outdoors, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I want to say 8 stations for different
the drills and stuff.
Different drills.
Yeah.
Then they were segmented by age groups. So while all the age groups were on the outside. There was one age group that would go inside the gym, and when they would walk in, they'd go take their picture one-on-one with Max Crosby. They go through the whole group, and then they divide the groups offense, defense, and then Max was basically playing catch with them.
Yeah, had to be
And
awesome.
that was so cool, man, because I was like standing there recording, and I'm thinking, man, if I was one of these kids, this is something that's going to live.
You'll never forget it. You'll never forget it.
Of my life. I played ball with Max Crosby.
Yeah.
That was so freaking amazing, man. So I saw my son out there with Max Crosby. He had so much fun. And then I ran into JPJ, Jackson Powers Johnson.
Awesome.
I said what's up to him, took a picture with him. I saw JJ Pegues. I saw Amari Gaynor, Tommy Eichenberg.
Yeah,
Eichenberg, and then who else? There was one more. No, I think that was all of them. It was like 4 players there.
Solid group, man. That's a solid group.
Yeah, they were interacting. They were coaching. Taking pictures with fans, giving autographs. It was really, really a great time.
Awesome, man.
And we got lucky because it is a Las Vegas summer, and it was only like 92 degrees.
Wow.
Which in Vegas, that's pretty cool. And
right.
I was talking to a couple of parents, and they were telling me that they were there a few weeks prior at Brock Bowers' football camp.
Okay.
And he said that there was half the amount of kids there. So it was like a better experience, but I don't think not as many extra players that showed up.
Yeah.
But it was a great event. Raider Nation, if you guys have kids and you have the opportunity to take them, at least do it once. They will never forget that. They will never forget it. It is one of those once in a lifetime experiences that a kid should have. Yeah, it is pricey.
Yeah.
But memories.
It's worth it, man. Honestly, it's worth it because like you said, your son will never forget that. Like when you guys are older and he's old enough to drink a beer with you and he has his kids and he's going to tell you about, Dad, I remember when I was such and such age and you took me to this and it's going to be it's something that you're going to love hearing that because you're going to be like, man, I thought you were so young, and the fact that you still remember that, like that's awesome. Yeah,
and like at my age now, I'm not into like buying stuff and showing off. I'm more about creating memories.
Memories, yes.
And this is definitely one of the memories I'm going to cherish. Seeing my son so happy out there,
exactly.
Having a blast.
That's priceless.
Yeah.
That's priceless.
And then seeing all these other kids too, man, because there was over 400 kids and they were all having a blast.
Yeah.
Raider Nation, if you ever get the chance, take your kids. If you know of a kid, take them.
Yeah.
Because it is definitely something that might change your life. You never know.
Right. No, that's a good point. That's such a good point.
Yeah, well, Raider Nation, that's all the topics we have for today. There's a couple of things I wanted to announce. Obviously, by the time this episode airs, the Raider Nation Bolsa Chica Blackout have just passed. I'm going to be going or had gone to the event, and I'm going to be recording a special episode of the Raider Nation roll call for that. So check it out. It's going to be a blast. Also, we're going to be going to the open training camp at Leach Stadium. Going to be doing another one for that. What else? There's a couple of other episodes of different Stogie Nation, Raider Nation roll call. And of course, Chris and I, we're back with the Raider Nation Weekly Wire.
We're back.
We're going to give you all the news that you're going to need. Plain and simple, not going to get too complicated.
Yeah.
We just want to inform you with what you need. And if you want more, go look for it on the internet like we all do. But anyway, Chris, let them know where they can find you, my brother.
Yeah, man. Protect the Shield podcast. You can catch me on all platforms, specifically, on YouTube. I go live a few times a week. Definitely you can check me out every Tuesday and Sunday with my brothers, 805 Raider and the Severe Raider. Our show's called The War Room. And again, we really break down to the details of the game. We're 3 guys that really understand the game pretty well. We all have different takes and we just love ball and we love talking about it. You can tell the passion, so definitely check us out. Again, Protect the Shield podcast, give me a like, subscribe, share, and that's it, and I got this show with Dub Raider. So, if you guys, make sure you guys not only subscribe to him, but make sure you hit that bell notification because the guy works his tail off. works his tail off. He's one of the hardest working guys in here. He's always grinding, and he's good at what he does, man. So make sure you guys help him grow his channel, man. I mean, he, the support is free. We're not asking for, super chats and all that stuff, man. Just hit the like button. And if you know a Raider fan or a cigar fan, just share it with them, man. Share it with them. That's all we're asking, man.
Appreciate you, brother. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. We're grinding. We do this because we have passion for the Raider Nation and for Raider football. And we want to show you what we like, what we do. And that's why we're here. One more thing I forgot to mention. The War Room, Chris, Severe, and 805 Raider and myself are going to be attending the home opener in September 15th, I believe it is.
Yeah. Yep.
We're going to be in Las Vegas. We're going to be doing it. And the Saturday before, which will be the 13th, we're going to have a meetup at Tap and Ash Cigar Lounge in the Art District in Las Vegas. I will be putting out some advertisements for that, free of charge for all the Raider Nation. Come through, hang out with us, come chop it up, have a stick, have some drinks. It's going to be a good time. Don't miss it. I believe against September 13th, Chris will protect the shield, 805 Raider, the Severe Raider. We're also going to be having some booster clubs from Arizona, TNBC Los Angeles,
nice.
A lot of super fans. We have a lot of people coming through. So
nice.
If you're going to be in town or if you're in the Las Vegas area, come through.
Yeah.
Tap and Ash Cigar Lounge or Social Club, I believe it's called. It's in the Art District. It's an amazing place. I just hung out there with 805 this past week. We had a blast.
Yeah.
He's not a cigar guy, but he really, really enjoyed it. Had some cool little drinks. The staff there are very friendly.
Yeah, very nice staff.
It's good. It's a good spot. So don't forget, we're going to be there. And again, Raider Nation, thanks for being here. Like, follow, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I got a lot of information coming to you, a lot of episodes from Raider Nation Roll Call, Raider Nation Weekly Wire, and the Stogie Nation coming. And as the season comes up, more stuff is coming. So don't forget to tap in. And again, Raider Nation, don't forget, everything we do is for the nation, by the nation.